So I originally found alcohol ink just scrolling through Instagram on the Discover feed. The first artist that I started following is Manifest Jess, and she worked on really small pieces of Yupo paper with alcohol ink. So you know, it just kind of drew me to the art form because it was very simple. It's just paper, a couple colors, and really it's abstract art, so there's no form that you need to stick to. There's no mistakes per se. So yeah, I ordered a couple colors and the smallest pad that I could, and then from there it just kind of grew and grew into kind of an addiction, really. I started in October of 2017, just kind of as a way to relieve stress in my downtime. So I've always been, I have a degree in performing arts actually, so I've always been artistic and creative in that aspect, but post-grad it became more difficult to find opportunities and really keep the amount of, you know, creativity flowing, so that seemed like a good way to do it. I think the unpredictability is probably my most favorite thing. It really forces you to stay present in the moment. And as I've continued to paint, I'm kind of finding my style a little bit more. And I find that in the moments when I can kind of just let go and stop kind of self-editing as I'm painting and really get into sort of a meditative state, it helps me not overthink it and just kind of go with the flow. First, I think I watched a lot of time-lapse videos, not necessarily how-tos, but just to kind of get the idea of how other people started it, where to begin, because there are no rules, so that can kind of be overwhelming at times. So I definitely did look at other styles to begin with, but then from there, I think it's important to not be constantly viewing other artists, because then it starts to wear on yourself and it kind of clouds up your vision. So I definitely think I developed my own style. You'd want to start with Yupo paper, which is a synthetic watercolor paper. It basically just gives you a little bit of working time with the inks before they settle down into the paper. So I'd say I usually have maybe 30 minutes to work on a piece before it fully dries. And then you would need your inks. They don't necessarily have to be alcohol inks. They could be marker ink refills, really any kind of ink you can dilute with isopropyl alcohol. So really three things: the alcohol, the ink, and the paper. And then as far as tools to manipulate the inks, I use a straw and I just kind of blow on the inks to kind of get them going in the right direction. Some people use paintbrushes, which I do for detail work, or you can just simply tip the paper back and forth. If you're working on a surface that's not level, that'll affect how your painting comes out as well. So you can really, you can get creative with that. I've seen some people use saran wrap for different textures. I think the future for me, this year I've definitely invested more in my artwork as I'm seeing my own personal style develop and getting more comfortable, you know, calling myself an artist, because even that in itself, even having you guys here today, it makes it real for someone who just thinks they just paint out of their house as a hobby sometimes. But I've booked a couple shows, a couple art fairs this summer. You know, I've invested in a better tent, and you know, just to show myself as a more professional person. But I think long-term goals, you know, I think it's just a goal of mine to be able to support myself as an artist. You know, I don't have to be in all these galleries or, you know, a household name. I just want to be able to do what I love every day and be able to support myself and, you know, my family one day. I think that's the goal of every artist, really.